Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Fully Managed podcast. Thank you, Bernardo, so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Of course, happy to be here.
Thank you. All right, so today we are going to start with a game as per usual. This game is for you specifically in mind, and the topic that we are going to cover today in mind. So I hope it's fun. I think the scenarios that I've created are pretty fun, so I hope that you enjoy them. This game is called Funny or Flop. So
Okay.
I'm going to give you a bunch of advertising scenarios, and then you are going to tell me whether you think they're funny or that they'd be probably a bad idea to run. Does that sound
Okay, sounds good.
good? Okay. The first one is a dating app runs a campaign called Lower Your Standards. Funny or
That's really funny. I've always tried to sell an idea with a dating app or a dating show, and it's always died. But yeah, great idea, funny.
I think it's funny. I mean, like, it might make people go on more dates, for
Yeah.
sure. So I mean, it might work for them in their favor. Okay. The next one is a fast food brand advertises their new burger as so good you'll ghost your diet.
Flop.
Flop. I get it. It's like it seems like it's trying to be a little too trendy in their word
Yeah,
choice. I think
yeah.
also like making in enforcing unhealthy standards, like if anything, you should probably not be acknowledging that your burger is unhealthy and not fitting in with diet standards, I suppose. So
I agree.
this next one's an interesting one because I personally can see how it could work if done correctly. However, if it's
Mm.
done incorrectly, it would probably cause a lot of drama. So, okay. A fitness brand uses before and after photos that are clearly photoshopped on purpose.
That could be funny, eh? That could be really, really funny.
I like it. I think that it could really like if you twisted it in a way of emphasizing that like your fitness goals should be realistic kind of thing, like maybe like kind of creating like you might never look like this but at least you'll feel healthy or like something like that, you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah. I always love when a brand is like self-aware, and also when they kind of like lie in your face just to be honest.
yes.
Like, yeah, we know this is a lie. We know this is advertising. We know we were, that's kind of like that level of honesty can be really funny.
I like it too. I think it makes a brand feel more transparent with like what their expectations are, or like what you should expect of them. Because a lot of times, I think that marketing is used to kind of, for lack of better phrasing, deceive you in a way of like, oh, these are the expectations, but it's really only possible for like a really minute few people, and like you usually advertise the best results because that obviously why wouldn't you, but at the same time I think that when you do campaigns like that it shows that you're really truthful as a brand and like you're setting realistic expectations for your audience.
Absolutely. Like I've always thought that advertising is just like a brand making friends, you
Yeah.
know? And you want to make friends with someone that's like a little bit human. You don't want to make friends with a
Hmm.
robot. You don't want to make friends with a script or something there
Exactly.
that doesn't have a soul. You need a certain magic and a certain accident to create this magic so it's real. Like reality is accidental sometimes. And sometimes if you say something that's completely, I don't know, outrageous, or again to your point, like lying to your face, but that's kind of like the joke that we're lying to you. I was like, oh look, being treated with respect. I'm being treated as a human, and that automatically
Exactly.
creates empathy. And it's like, okay, well, I might care about your brand. I might not be annoyed that you interrupted my YouTube video or you interrupted my, I don't know, taxi experience. Have you seen those like screens with ads that bomb you and then you turn it off and it's still like bombing you with shit? It's like, oh, I just want peace. But anyway, so we're doing something really horrible to people, invading them that way. At least we can be honest with them. No, at least we can be a empathetic. It's like, hey, you
No,
hate this, but at least you'll enjoy a little bit of it. Maybe enjoy 20% of it.
I
But yeah, that's all we
completely
can do.
agree. No, I think that when the best advertisements and marketing are done where it almost feels like serendipitous to the viewer, as in like they they feel like this just went apart, like this just was a part of their day in a way that was fun. Like it could have been something that made you laugh and you're like, wow, this really was a fun part of my day to see something so hysterical during that broke up, the rest of my day, or something that it just worked in your day that didn't feel like it was really pushing. Like it kind of just, oh, I was on a walk and I saw a Starbucks ad and I was really craving a K-pop, and so now I'm going to go to Starbucks. And of course that there's a way to do something so strategically that it doesn't feel like it's invading your personal space.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in the end, no one cares. I mean, the real consumer, they don't care about KPIs. They don't care
Yeah.
about what the brand message is. It's like, okay, do I relate this brand that was shown to me with a positive emotion or an interesting emotion or something that made me think about this thing about my reality like a little bit different? And I mean, that's it. It's so simple, yet we make it so complicated sometimes, I feel. But yeah, right in there with you.
Yeah, exactly. People want to feel, that there's certain advertising avenues that you can go down where you can personalize them so much where people feel like they're being catered to, but at the same time, I feel like some people also see through things like that because they feel like they're being marketed to, and no one wants to feel ever like they're being marketed to.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
there's a very
yeah.
specific way of doing things right, and it's especially with the younger generations, they're really keeping an eye on. They're very I can understand you don't want to feel marketed to because it just makes you almost a little angry. You're like, you don't get
Exactly, exactly. It's like the meme with the Steve Buscemi with the backwards cap. Like, hello, you fellow kids. And I feel like most briefs kind of like are that. They're trying to make the brand speak young, speak Gen Z, or even speak to like mothers. But it's like you don't need to change so much as a brand. You don't have to become them. You just have to say something truthful. And
Yeah.
as humans, no matter if you're 18 or you're 49, if you hear something truthful from that brand, that of course relates to the brand and the brand experience and everything else, of course, it's part of the whole marketing umbrella. But if there's like a truth that really feels not manufactured, but it's not a convenient truth that everyone in a boardroom is like, oh yeah, yeah, that's what we should be as a brand. No, no, it's a truth that kind of like human beings identify with. Then that's where you win. I don't know. That's maybe I'm going on a tangent here,
No,
but
no,
I
no. I completely resonate with what you're saying. There is a way that a brand can be truthful to themselves while also truthful to their audience. Or it doesn't have to be an intended audience either. Like sometimes there's just something true about humanity that can just resonate with a brand's purpose.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, like one thing that I love to do whenever I write a script, or maybe if I'm reviewing many different scripts, I have to choose the one that works best. Of course, I put it through a filter if it feels fresh, if it solves the brief, if it makes sense with the brand. Of course, if it's achievable with the budget that we have, etc., etc. But one thing I love to do is just like show it to my mom, you know. And it's like so
Yeah,
simple. It's like, okay, she doesn't work in advertising. She
she
doesn't
doesn't
know
know
about
how to
like,
make.
yeah, she doesn't know about advertising awards. She doesn't know what a Cannes Lion is. She doesn't give a fuck. But if she gets it, it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, this kind of like feels truthful to me. I'm like, okay, that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
At least it has that, you know?
That's why focus groups are so important, because you're like, you don't want to, there's so many like procedures and bureaucracy that a lot of
Mhm.
corporations and companies go through to make sure that in advertisement or any kind of marketing or creative is, you know, going to positively reflect on them. But at the same time, all of those people are strategically minded. Like
Mhm.
they're all looking at something with a purpose of like, okay, will it work for this? But they're not like, yeah, we're all normal people, but like they're not normal in the way of like they're not a normal consumer because they have this mindset of going into things of like, okay, all of these different factors, these numbers, all of these things that we need to consider, but the average consumer just just wants to feel cared about, or they don't want an annoying ad to make them angry. Like they don't want to be annoyed during their day. They don't want to watch they want to be, if anything, they want to be consistently entertained. That's really what people are looking for. It's just, I don't want to watch, I want to, if I don't want to watch a commercial on psoriasis when I don't have it, but if it's funny, I'll enjoy this commercial.
I would love to produce a commercial on psoriasis. Just like it's in my bucket list.
It's like, okay, yeah, like I will truly enjoy, like I understand, even if you're not catering to a specific group, if you can get the majority of people to enjoy something, you've already won. Like, because people are talking about it, and that's what you really want. Obviously, you don't want to epically offend people.
Of
That's a
course.
different thing. There's a line that you have to walk. But yeah, it's a bit of a balancing act. But at the same time, I think that you're doing something right if people are enjoying the content that you're creating.
Right, right. And I think there's like a fine line also between correct and unbelievably memorable. Like
Mm.
people, and that's something that we battle a lot with marketers. I mean, myself having started an agency side and now being a brand side, something that I always battled with. They, whenever you throw an idea, uh, there's a lot of people in the room that will try to make this idea be correct, fit
Mm.
all the tick all the boxes, fit with whenever or in whichever category they want to fit it, resonate with a certain audiences. But sometimes when it goes through this like process, imagine it's like a factory and there's a lot of hands changing the product, the final product, blah, blah, blah. When it comes out, it's lacking substance, it's lacking this memorability, it's lacking character and surprise, because audiences don't want something correct. They don't want to watch an ad that completely aligns to the brand's values and personality and doesn't tell you anything new. They want a little bit of surprise, they want a little bit of accident, and I mean, one thing I think is true in comedy genres, whether you're doing comedy commercials, but also like horror and suspense, like you need to surprise. Like laughter is it's a reaction to being a little bit afraid, to be like, oh wait, I wasn't expecting this. It's taking
Yeah.
you by surprise, and that's why it makes you jolt, or it makes you laugh, or it makes you sigh, but it produces something in you because you were not expecting it. And that has to be born from accident. That has to be born from something truthful that struck a nerve, and that hasn't been like molded so much by so many peoples. So I feel like whenever you create a campaign, whenever you create an idea, the less people you have in the room, the more it's going to resonate with real people in the world.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like you have a stand-up comedian, they obviously probably test jokes on their friends, but they're not going through so many systems to make sure that that joke is correct in a way of like, no, it's just it resonates with certain audiences. That's just kind of what you're going for. I think that obviously there are certain levels in which there's checks and balances for specifically something that might be considered risky, I would say.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and of course, there are brands that have received backlash from maybe not going to the right people for something. But I think that instead of maybe going through 15 different positions at a company,
Hmm.
rather going through a focus group is probably a better move, because that is many people, but it's all at once, and it's also not going to like irreparably change the campaign unless they hate it. Then you were just wrong. I guess, in how it was not funny at all. It was not funny, or it was not funny to this select group of people. And if those are the people you're looking to make laugh, then maybe it's not funny to them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And also, I feel like when you show the idea to too many people, like, okay, you have this meeting room, you have this boardroom with very important high salaries, like everyone. I mean, also myself, like I feel it. You want to feel useful. You want to feel like there was a purpose of being invited to this meeting, so you want to contribute. But I feel like sometimes people over contribute because they want to be useful. And those are like little jabs, or little, imagine you have like a little knife and start peeling off things of the campaign or of the idea because of concerns, or, like your own interpretation of things. And then you can like figure it out when a campaign feels like very correct and completely soulless. You're like, oh yeah, there was a lot of people in the
Yep.
process and the decision process, and even testing. I'm very oblivious to testing sometimes, because now the level of just like the magnifying glass that some campaigns are put on, it grows to like ridiculous proportions. Like, for example, one campaign that we tested when I was at Droga 5, I won't say the brand, a few years ago, they started measuring. Like, but this is like a Black Mirror episode. They see people, they check their pulse, and they have like this camera that checks the size of their pupils, and they can track where the eyeballs are going everywhere on the screen. This is after we produced a commercial, we edited it and everything. So they can tell you exactly in what moment and in what part of the screen there's a feeling of revulsion or of pleasure, you know? And if there's like a lot of revulsion, then all the people that want to have an opinion in the boardroom are like, no, wow, why is this so revolting? But what I feel like what they don't understand is that to create tension, to create in a story, you have a story arc, you need to create stakes, like high stakes. Like if the hero doesn't achieve what it wants to achieve, it's going to be a failure. And the more you raise the stakes, the more when the hero achieves what the hero wants to achieve, thanks to the product that they're selling, then it's a more kind of like a grandiose ending, and your product is going to solve something very grandiose. So if you don't create tension, you don't have a problem, and if you don't have a problem, you don't have a solution. If you don't have a solution, why are you like announcing this product? You don't have a need. And I feel there's a lot of like wasted time just trying to overcorrect every single detail. And again, back to my previous point, we need some accident to create magic. We need some wrong to create right. We need some human honesty and just like human creation for something to not just be correct but be memorable.
Well, yeah, and I completely understand that. There's also this level of making mistakes also makes you seem more human on top of it. Obviously, there's irreparable mistakes, but really, specifically for big brands, that doesn't happen very often. And that's like someone really messed up if it does happen. But there is something about making mistakes that also increases your like relevancy as well, which I think is sometimes important. Like for example, and I'm sure this comes up often in conversation as it has recently for me, Cracker Barrel doing the whole rebrand, which obviously upset many people, and I think was on paper a silly idea. It doesn't seem very like on brand for them or like considering their audience, but at the same time we're talking about Cracker Barrel. I don't think I've ever talked about Cracker Barrel before this happened. I don't think the words Cracker Barrel have ever come out of my mouth. I think I've been to Cracker Barrel once. So, now there's this whole, now people are thinking about Cracker Barrel. They're probably, even though people are angry with them, and they might have lost people who are really holding grudges
Mhm.
against the
Mhm.
brand
Mhm.
for why I don't know. This is a silly thing to hold a grudge over. It wasted energy to be angry at Cracker Barrel or something like this. Um, but you're probably thinking about Cracker Barrel. You might go because you're like, wow, I haven't had that since I was 13. I would love to go and have some whatever they sell. But that's something like that mistake. It still has a good outcome. And also from that, if they have incredible marketers on staff or advertising or creative, they can
Mhm.
create something so beautiful out of that mistake. Like they can, like revamp something in a more positive way or more directly to, for maybe even fanfare, but like to make their audience happy. And
Mhm.
they could have an ad campaign that's like, we heard you and we are sorry. We're gonna do this and that. We're gonna bring back old items because we see that we appreciate you guys so much for providing honest feedback. Like there's so many ways that you can take a mistake and make it like a beautiful happy ending. And people don't, they're so afraid of the
Mhm.
mistake part that they don't take
Mhm.
those risks, and then you just feel like inhuman. And that's there's a balancing act, of course, but it's
Yeah.
sad that we just see just like cookie cutter things sometimes.
Yeah, and also because their biggest sin was like really inoffensive, right? They just took an old guy from a logo. Like, who cared about this stupid old guy? Like, no one cared. But people made it into a whole idiosyncratic thing because people want some sort of like drama in their horrible, boring lives, But
Okay.
it's okay, but it's like really funny how something so inoffensive like that created so much kind of like chaos within like these big boardrooms with a lot of like very anxious account executives eating like a sad salad, just like trying to solve this problem. It's, oh, it's the end of the world.
Our stock is going down.
I was like, man, it's not the end of the world. In the end, it's just advertising, and advertising is this advertising is ideas, and sometimes these are things that you cannot control. Of course, you can give it a spin, and like you were saying, I feel like you can definitely give a very fun spin to something, this like very inoffensive scene that you
Mhm.
created as a brand, and you have to own it, like I really distrust brands that change all the time at the same moment as like culture is changing, and they're trying to ride every single wave. And I mean, we've seen it in the US in the last 10 years. Like culture has been going like left, right, center, like, it's been going everywhere. And you see the brands that change too much just to be like me, like me, like me.
Yeah, and
It
you're like
makes me
inauthentic.
really distraught.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for example, the whole like cosvertising uh wave. What was it like after 2020, 2022, when everyone wanted to do some social justice, etc.? Like there were some brands that were really like, really, are you pretending to be riding this wave too? Like I don't know which, I don't remember exactly which defense contractor this was. What is it? Imagine that
Oh no.
the defense contractor that creates missiles and kind of like Halliburton, but I don't remember if it was Halliburton. But anyways, they changed their logo to have like the pride colors.
Shut
And
up.
you're like, come
You guys
on,
are
man.
what? You're shooting missiles at people in other countries. What is, yeah, it's pride
Are
though.
you
Do
now
those
shooting
things.
like diverse missiles? Like, what is this?
We're gonna start painting our missiles rainbow just as a, like so that we can, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you
Like,
don't have to take a stance on this. You're not. This isn't relevant to you. Like this is
exactly,
very,
exactly.
and
And I'm
it
gonna like
shows
this. Yeah.
it shows such inauthenticity too, because at the same time there's so many, and I've read so much on it of the amount of people that took a stance on pride or like had a collection for it put out or whatever, like clothing brands and different things like Target and whatever, and then took it back because of the new administration and different. And it's like, so okay, so proof that you didn't care about this in the first place. You were just, trying to make a quick buck for this cause or whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
What?
And you know what? If you're an evil brand, I would love to see you own your evil. If you're Halliburton, please don't tell us that you're making the world a better place. Or if you're Marlboro, don't tell us you're making the world a better
No
place.
one's buying
It's okay.
it anyway.
We don't consume you to make the world a better place. Make the world a shittier place and just like put your flag in the ground and be like, you know what? Yeah. And I'm proud about this. And maybe I'll respect you.
We're a defense company. We don't care about gay people. We don't care about the LGBTQ plus community. We are shooting people. We are making weapons. We don't care about people.
They just explode all the same,
This is what you are. Like, own what you are. And also, there's also what's it called? A stance to be had about people getting involved in spaces that it doesn't make sense for their brand to do at all. And that's like when that just really shows the sham of it all of why are you taking a stance on something that has nothing to do with you? Like, I understand there's a difference between like the foundational principles of a brand. Like, for example, Ben and Jerry's has always been a social justice brand. Like, they have been that since the beginning. And even ice cream has nothing to do with social justice, but they founded themselves upon being that kind of, like that was their founding principles of the CEO and whatever. And now they're getting away from that because the CEO has left, whatever it may be. But that makes sense because that is what they founded themselves a part of. But if another ice cream brand was like, okay, I'm going to make a Black Lives Matter flavored ice cream, well, you don't, and it's just it makes someone inauthentic. You're not, this is not a part of you. You didn't create your brand based off of these principles. Why are you getting involved?
You know what? That's really funny that you say it because that also like opens a kind of worms. Huh? Like, let's say you make a Black Lives Matter flavor. What are the ingredients that you're using? What's the flavor? People are going to get really angry and analyze every minutia of each of the ingredients. It's like, oh no, that's racist, because of that.
Are any of these ingredients racist? I am going to analyze your ingredients and make sure that these are not. What kind of focus groups do you test for this in the first place?
I love it. I'm sure that at least has happened once in a boardroom meeting. Someone like a very anxious account executive eating this sad salad. It's like, wait, but aren't these ingredients racist? I'm sure this has happened before, and it's ridiculous. Our industry is very funny sometimes.
It is just a very silly scenario, which is why it's just that is a place in which you should probably avoid something entirely. Like, maybe you should there shouldn't be bureaucracy. We should just say no. We should just say no to something like that. There's risks that are risks for risk's sake, and then there are risks that are smart and informed. And that is, I think the difference in comedy and really anything that's kind of risky in advertising is like, you have to make an informed decision. Does this have anything to do with my brand? Does this have anything to do with our brand principles? Does this have anything to do with our brand voice? Does this have anything to do with our audience? If no to really any of those questions, then you should probably not do it. I think that it's just a kind of a why?
yeah, no, absolutely. And I guess we're getting closer to that state, which was kind of like the state of advertising in the 2000s, even the 90s. Like, I remember they had like these crazy, outrageous, fantastic ads that would devour your advertising. Yeah, I miss it too. But now there's been this epidemic of fear within the agencies themselves, within the boardrooms of the big corporate clients as well. And I feel it's fading a little bit down because outrage has become unpredictable now. I feel like everything can be outrageous, like the old man in the Cracker Barrel logo.
Someone's
Like
going to be
really,
mad at something always. There's
yeah, because
angry people out there.
people live miserable lives. They'll always be able to find something to put all their like frustration into words. And yeah, I feel like as a brand, we now have to just like embrace it, embrace that someone is going to get mad at us, and of course, I mean, I'm not going to create an ad with the Pope riding a unicycle with chainsaws, Or maybe I could. I don't know. Maybe that's.
I would watch that. I would sit down and not look at my phone and watch that. So I mean, like,
I would love to produce it. But you know what I mean? There's like things that are like, okay, this is common sense that these can be outrageous to certain people. But yeah, I think we need to be more tolerant towards uncertainty, And yeah, let's culture of less failure.
I think that there's also I hope it's like almost a little depressing to understand, but I think that the younger generations are much more apathetic to a lot of things, like less offended. I think that a lot of people think that they're more sensitive because they're more like privy to social justice issues, political climate, whatever it may be. But I also think they're more apathetic, in which things are more funny, like things that were touchy even in the 90s are not touchy anymore because it's just okay, we're just so I think that comedy and risks hopefully can be taken more with the rise of the younger generations because they're kind of over it. Like they know that they're being advertised to. Their entire lives are an advertisement. I mean, it's social media, growing up with that, everything. They're constantly they want those out of the box things that don't make them feel like they're being advertised to, and that's where the risks and the fun come in of like, this is genius, like you're really actually making people indulge in this kind of product or service or whatever it may be. And that's one of my favorite things about, I'm also getting off track, is gamification in advertising, like tricking people into involving themselves in an advertisement because it's a game, it's fun.
It's fun.
It teaches the person about, it teaches the company about like what attracts a viewer, like what specific aspects of the product they might enjoy or whatever it may be. I think that's awesome. I love that. And that's more popular now as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's really good that you say this about younger people. I mean, younger people, especially Gen Z, they were born with screens. They've learned like inherently. It's like a switch they have inside of them to learn the difference with what's AI, what's real, what's like endemic to a certain platform. What feels they can smell the bullshit. Really. Like I don't know, my dad my dad's from Mexico, so he sends me like all these like fake AI videos.
My dad does the same thing.
It's like, mira, mijo, lo que está pasando. I was like, yeah. But he was not born with a phone. He was not born with this ease to discern what's real, what's not. And I feel like even with more reason, you have to be completely honest. You cannot bullshit people younger than you. You cannot do that. And yeah, gamification I think is a fun way. And again, it's how do we make this content entertaining? And even though I do feel like sometimes I work with a lot of like maybe older, like more Gen Xer creatives that are trying to still make jokes that would maybe be funny in the 90s, that are like a little bit more incisive or a little bit more outrageous. And I also know, and I also accept that humor has changed. Like I personally have a very dark humor, but not everything that I do has to be dark humor. Like it has become very absurd, which I love. Like
I love absurdity.
Very absurd. Yeah,
big fan.
like cheese. What's the meme? Beastburger, and everyone laughs with Beastburger. It's like, like the stack the hamburger that's like all the way around. And it's like Beastburger, and it's like, this is amazing, You know what? I like absurd. I've always liked
I think it's
stuff that makes no
incredible.
sense. Yeah, and you
It's
just
eye
have to.
catching.
Exactly,
Hmm.
and you have to evolve and see like what's making people laugh nowadays. But by being honest and by being fearless within reason, I mean, you don't have to be fearless to remove this older guy from a Cracker Barrel logo. You know, I mean,
You just have to maybe be able to take criticism because a lot of people are unhappy. I think my boyfriend called me up that morning fuming, and I was like, "Why do you care about this?" I think, why is this dampering your day?
I love it.
I think it's so funny when people like choose to be angry about. I mean, like, and it's different for everyone. So who am I to
Yeah.
critique people getting upset about the Cracker Barrel? What if it's a deep part of their childhood, and they're gonna deeply miss that old man sitting on the barrel? I don't know. I don't know. But there is going back to what you mentioned about
Mhm.
absurdity. Like, I think that really does reach um younger generations because it's nonsensical, and like their entire,
Mhm.
social media has become so saturated that in order to gain attention from younger
Mhm.
generations, you not only have to be smart, but you have to be eye catching in a way of like,
Mhm.
this stands out from all of the other ad placement that's happening during their scrolling. And that is
Mhm.
really difficult to do now. I mean,
Mhm.
it is something that is so different from way back when, where like commercials were kind of all there was. Like
Mhm.
commercials, billboards, whatever it may be, but now it's advertising is so seeded into our livelihoods that you have to be incredibly different in order to make something stand out to everyone, even younger generations and older.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. No, that makes our jobs even harder now. Because yeah, like before, like okay, you would have these commercials on TV that everyone would watch. Like remember that old timey moment when people like would sit with their families and watch TV, and they would
Watch
watch
TV.
the exact same thing, and then they would watch all the commercial. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. Everything is like completely,
Yeah.
like
Well, now
fragmented
people are
and.
annoyed with commercials because they're not like, it's not a normal part of their lives now with streaming services. People are more privy to be annoyed with the commercials they're watching now as well. So you have to be really not a nuisance.
Yeah, and I think that's why we need to refocus the conversation. Like, now when we're like concepting for stuff for social media, etc. Like, one of the things that I get the most from, and in agency life too, like from the internal teams, etc. It's like, oh, is the brand present on the 3 to 5 seconds? Is there enough branding? It's like, well, let's just try to make this entertaining and relatable and memorable. And if the branding is in the first 3 seconds, and the rest is in the end, that's secondary to the core of the conversation. Is the idea any good? Is it any funny? Is it any more memorable?
Yeah.
And I feel we're losing kind of like sight of that sometimes, and it's always kind of like good to step back, give a few steps back. And to my point earlier, just like show it to your mother. It's like, do you understand? Does this make sense? Make any sense? Also, like advertising award shows have been like super segmented, and now everything can be an entry into an awards. And you have people in agency world that they're like, oh yeah, yeah, let's push this banner with a AR filter that does this and that, and they kind of like overcomplicate sometimes like ideas,
Yeah.
and are just so focused on winning awards and making it into can that you forget the very core part of it. It's like, okay, would normal people care if
Yeah.
this,
Like, is
like,
this cool?
yeah, exactly, if this app can synchronize with your I don't know, beer to tell you how cold it is, I don't think people would care. Nonetheless, in the award, in the advertising industry, we kind of like rewarded. Oh, it's your watch is being synchronized with your beer to tell you how cold it is. That's amazing. It's like, no one
It's like,
cares.
okay, yeah, it's like, I think that people are sometimes looking to be like too innovative sometimes and out of the
Mhm.
box too, where it's like you really have to ask yourself, are people looking for this?
Hmm.
Like, do
Hmm.
people care about this at all? Like, that's why your brand voice is important, but also your audience is just as important, because
Hmm.
I, you should never be looking at an advertisement and going, why? Like, like, like you should, that should not be. There's a why that's like, oh, this is really weird. Why? And it makes you think.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes when it makes you think, that's good because you're thinking about the brand and whatever it may be. Why? Like, you're
Mhm.
appalled. Like, you're like, why would they do this? This makes no sense. This feels like a waste of money to have put this out there. What? Why? This feels completely just not considering me as a consumer at all. I don't understand
Mhm.
why this. I don't care that this said beer company is selling a board game. I'm not looking to play board games when I'm drinking. I'm looking to not play. I don't know. I don't have the attention span to play a board game when I'm drinking. Why are we doing this? Like, it's just like, there's things you gotta consider the whole. That's why the buyer's journey is so big. Like, you need to consider all the parts, and if it doesn't make sense for this, if it doesn't make sense for this audience, why are you wasting money doing that? Why are you wasting money on a campaign? Be fun, be funky, fresh, but
Mhm.
also
Mhm.
consider the people that you're talking to. That is important. It's,
Yeah, sometimes we forget simplicity is king here. Like we overly complicate the ideas just so they have like all these touch points with it. Oh, we have the passion points of our audience that are like board games. Well, it's like, but yeah, maybe it doesn't make any sense. Like I always do the exercise of when we have a campaign or a script or even an activation idea for anything. It's like, okay, can you tell it in a sentence, one
yeah.
sentence? What's the elevator pitch? How do I call my mom and I tell her like, oh, hey, I'm working on this. This
Uh-huh.
idea is about this and this. Ah, okay. If she gets it, it's like, okay, this makes sense. If I have to be overly complicated and explain a little bit of the context and then explain why this is funny and explain what this technology that we're doing, then it's like, okay, maybe this is not good.
It's not going to land. It's not going to land with a regular person. Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
100.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so we are approaching time, but I do want
Okay.
to ask you um one final question. This was so fun. This went by way quicker than I had expected
Yeah,
at
I
all.
know.
That's on comedy. Guys, take a lesson. Everyone watching. It's when you enjoy something, or you enjoy a campaign, then you're having fun. It goes by quicker. Feels like you're not doing your job. Feels like you're not working at all. But I want to get an idea, because we kind of had a lot of opinionated conversations in this, and I thought that was really fun. But I want to
Mhm.
know one last thing so that we get to touch on you and your work.
Mhm.
Is there a campaign that you've ever done where you've worked on something creatively that you thought was comedic and fun, and it just did not land?
Well, yes and no. We did when I was at Droga 5, we worked on the follow up for the most interesting man in the world campaign.
Uh-huh.
They wanted to do something different. They wanted to retire the most interesting man because at that time, kind of like being older and just like a womanizer was like frowned upon. This was like 2020, so it was like a
Just
weird
perfect time.
social clan, yeah, climate. So we were like, okay, let's do something completely different, but it has to be big. It has to be like really, really honest. So we came up with a concept, the interesting beer for interesting times, and it kind of like played on the fact that okay, now we have all these like apps, dating apps. We kind of like have these clothing services that send you like weird clothes that you've never seen in your life for you to wear, or they send you like food for you to cook, and it's starting to feel a little bit like Black Mirror, you know.
Yeah.
And whenever you're overwhelmed by how weird the technology with AI, and there was like this note I remember that we saw. It said Chinese robots are stealing jobs from American robots. I was like, okay, yeah, this is very dystopian. So, so that kind of like gave birth to this campaign, an interesting beer for an interesting time, and kind of like the whole thing is like, well, while you're rolling with the punches, trying to kind of like understand this weird world that became, you have a beer to just like cool you off. That was kind of like the strategy. So we created 7 commercials. We shot them very Black Mirror style. Like one was talking about I don't know how you can meet someone in an app, in a dating app, but it turns out it was a multi-level marketing scheme, you know.
I love that.
And then you have to sell face cream by next Tuesday, you know, like, or I don't know, a person that's getting catalogs called like Cooking for One or the Single Lifestyle. But wait, you're not single. What does the algorithm know? Is your wife cheating on you? Like, you know how it gets like or DNA tests, how like intrusive they are. Maybe they're cloning you, and you don't know. We shot a very fun campaign, very dark humor, kind of like
I love that.
yeah, kind of like Black Mirror, and it came out just when the pandemic started, like that week, that same week.
Oh,
We aired one commercial, it was being well received, and then pandemic started, and then lockdown started, and then that kind of like dystopian
it was
universe
too
that we were
dark.
kind of like, it was too
It
dark,
was,
it was just too real. So
oh
our whole campaign
no.
got killed and it got canned because we were too honest. Like I think we seemed, with being too honest, even though we didn't know that was going to happen. Like let's say we ideated the campaign in August 2019, and by March 2020 it was ready, it was shot, it was edited, it was colored corrected. We were going to launch it, we launched it, and then pandemic happens. It's like, okay, yeah, this is not landing.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh my goodness, that's so sad. Oh my, well,
yeah,
I mean, I'm happy that you were able to, explain that though, because I mean, that's a really cool campaign to have worked on. It sucks that it just,
yeah.
or that's what's so upsetting about like the like unexpected changes in climate. You just can't really know
You don't know.
when something can work out. So that's marketing.
That's pretty.
You can prepare for literally everything, but then the unbelievably unexpected happens, like a worldwide
Yeah,
illness.
exactly. I mean, and you can be kind of like privy about it, and kind of like, I don't know. For instance, we have a script now about an alien invasion, but then with all the horrible things happening in the world, like countries actually being invaded by Russia, you know, you're like, oh, maybe talking about an alien invasion is not the best idea right now, and you move away from it. But that kind of like, okay, that makes sense. That's like, it's like, oh yeah, sure. But sometimes it just comes out of nowhere, like the pandemic. We didn't know that was going to happen, you know.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
there's great ways to take advantage of the climate as well. Like I remember I it was like a oh, this made me tear up honestly. I think that really is kind of emphasizing the state of this country at this point in time. But having I think it was a tourist advertisement for Canada, and it
mhm.
was a kind of a rude American coming up to a attendant at an airport in Canada saying like they have
Uh,
arrived, kind of like not incredibly rude, just very American, very
mhm, mhm,
stereotypically American, loud, boisterous kind of thing, and it seemed like they were almost going to like make fun of them or like reject them for just like being American and coming to
uh,
Canada, and they like accepted them with open arms, and they were like, I'm so sorry. And it was because of everything that was happening at the time, and you know it's still happening, whatever it may be. I was watching this commercial, and I was like, oh my god. It's like, oh my god, it's hit home. And that's something that's so incredibly smart, but also you have to take into account the climate, and sometimes you can't expect what the heck is going to happen. And that's the worst part about marketing too, is like that you have to expect the unexpected, and sometimes you can't expect the unexpected.
right. Because sometimes the idea sells like 6 months before it's actually, like fully produced.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of like be guessing all the time, and yeah, sometimes you just don't know. But again,
Exactly.
you have to embrace the unknown and be like, you know what, sometimes accident is okay. Sometimes, like Cracker Barrel, yeah, we pissed off a lot of people with the old guy, but you know what, I know what Cracker Barrel is now. I like you, maybe I knew in the back of my mind, but I kind of like forge a new kind of like idea of what the brand is, what it represents, what their values are, because of all the controversy. Sometimes it's not bad to be a little bit controversial.
Exactly. I think that's a great note to end on. I'm going to only cut that part so that you can. Sometimes it pays to be controversial so that you get in trouble. No, I'm just kidding. But
I love it.
but no, this was such an incredible time. I really thank you so much for joining me today. This was a great
Of
brain
course.
break and absolutely fun conversation to have. I don't think I've laughed more during the podcast. So this
And I love it. I
was
love
so
to hear
fun.
that.
So thank you so much. Thank you for everyone listening. We'd be nothing without you. Please check out Bernardo in the description. And thank you so much for joining us.
Love it. Thank you so much, Shannon.